If I had to, at the very beginning of this ministry, tell you, here's the blueprint for the perfect volunteer, I would have gotten it 100% wrong, because God has sent us exactly who is supposed to be in this ministry, and there is no pattern. I have people in this ministry who come from business backgrounds, who come from spiritual backgrounds, people who are at the end of their careers, people who are trying to figure out what their career life is going to be. I've had students. So whoever God felt was necessary to bring whomever along, including the other volunteers, he has sent us. And so I can look at the volunteer team we have now, and there is no pattern. We are exactly the right team, and whoever joins us next is exactly the right next volunteer. And I am grateful to God that he knows better than we do who should be in this ministry.
Originally in life, I had always said I would never go to a prison for any reason whatsoever to help anybody or see anybody. And several years later, I was in school, lay pastor ministry class, and they asked us to do field work, and the field work consisted of something out of our comfort zone.
I think the volunteer change is one of my favorite parts of the ministry, because some people arrive at this ministry because they feel called to it, but many others come to this ministry because of a field project, or because someone had asked them to do something that was difficult for them in their faith. And so they think, well, what's the hardest thing I can think of? Oh, I know, prison.
And 2 years later, I'm still here at LCI, so the Spirit works.
So in my life, I had a real strong experience of the mercy of God. And I said to God one day, where do you want me to bring your mercy? And I heard prison. Here I am, a year later. I'd go to the women's prison on Monday and the men's prison, and I have just loved bringing the mercy of God because they're so open to it.
Well, now, as we do the class together on Wednesday nights, at times it gives us other things to talk about besides the kids or the shopping list. We can talk about how to reach these guys better as we get into their lives.
It also gives them an opportunity to see us together as husband and wife, and to experience what a loving relationship looks like and what it can be. I mean, Mike and I certainly come from a place of our own brokenness, but somehow together, that love and support and that unconditional love we give each other, their ability to see that kind of love can exist, I think helps them to have hope that maybe their relationships with their loved ones can be better if they can focus on maybe trying to find ways to be more loving to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to watch people come from, I'm going to do this for the men and women in prison, and then move to, I'm going to do this with the men and women in prison, to, I get to do this alongside these men and women in prison. It's been a joy for me.
My time in there is nothing compared to what I get back from that time. You go in there thinking you're going to make a difference. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to teach these guys something. You come out learning so much more. So I was blessed by the experience.
We go in once a week, and on Wednesdays, and every Thursday or Friday, I post a story on Facebook and LinkedIn. And it's actually very gratifying, because I run into people who you would think might say, why are you helping those people? And I get the opposite reaction of, well, I follow your posts, great what you're doing, and it's been very fulfilling.
We have tried to build over the years, and have successfully built, community inside a place that doesn't support community. And that, I think, for the men and women who join us in small groups, is the greatest news of all. They can be who they were intended to be, and feel safety, both physical safety and emotional safety, in a place that doesn't promote that, doesn't support that.
One of my favorite stories really has nothing to do with the Catholic information part of it, but it concerned love and compassion for your fellow friends, I guess, in prison. I had to rearrange my leg because it was really hurting, And half the class jumped up to come over and move my chair, pick me up, and help me get comfortable. So the love and compassion was there with these guys, and it was not something I ever expected.
I was not sure what to expect, and I had my guard up, and these men started trickling in. They were all laughing and smiling and so happy to be there. And a young man approached me. He was smiling, outstretched hand, and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Thank you so much for being here." And I just have never felt so welcome and appreciated in my life.
We're there because we're Catholic. So many of the men and women, if not most of the men and women we walk with, are not Catholic, don't even understand Catholic. In fact, we dispel a lot of myths about Catholicism. We have the luxury of doing that inside the prison.